So, the point as to why I've been doing what I do here, the idea behind it is there is nothing more against me than being the center of attention. If I had it my way, I would be alone in the dark. That is where I belong. That is where I'm comfortable. That is where I feel safe. But that will never be helpful or beneficial or serve any kind of purpose for anyone except me hiding in the dark, which probably speaks to my childhood. But I'm trying to get Teddy Danza in the frame too. He's pretty cool. So I have been making these short videos of just me talking, and I've been trying to get in the habit of releasing them every day because it's difficult to do. It's difficult to just make yourself start doing something every single day. So, slowly over time, I have been working towards getting one every single day. And I'm almost to that point where I am at a state of equilibrium with filming one of these every single day, because usually it takes an hour or two to get one of these that's actually usable. And I know, you're thinking, good lord, an hour or two to get that fucking awful shit. But it's not as easy as it might first appear, especially if you're not used to being on camera like some of us. The only time I would be on camera is when someone would be recording, like the store cameras. But so I generally have always tried to avoid cameras, pictures, anything like that. I didn't want any part of it. I wanted to be forgotten as soon as possible. So to get good at anything, it's gonna take time, and you're gonna suck for a while. And if you want to do something in front of people, you're gonna have to suck in front of people. But you cannot spell success without suck. So you can always count on that. But the reality is most people don't care. Like most people don't notice you. Most people are just gonna keep moving with their lives. It's not even on their radar like that. I remember when I first started going running, it would haunt me that I felt so fucking stupid being out there running in the park. I just couldn't get over it. And although I still feel that, it has certainly gone down. And I've been running for like 3 or 4 years now. So it does lessen with time. But the quality of the videos, I need to start investing more in, because it's gotten to the point where, like I said, I'm starting to be comfortable doing this every day. So while there needs to be investments of all sorts, because I do this on a phone in one take, no microphone, no editing, no nothing. It's That's the way the pros do it. One take. But it's not really one take. It's like 15 different takes to get like one take that's actually at least usable. I don't even want to say good, but usable. So, there's all kinds of other problems too. I clear my throat too much. I use the word like and too much. Close my eyes too much because I don't like light. So I always try and close my eyes as much as I possibly can because I hate light. I'm like Gizmo, like bright light, bright light. Gizmo's probably out of date for most people today, but Gizmo's a mogwai and he's adorable. So I have to start doing more. And I have, what is it? Power Director's free editing software app for my phone. And I know a lot about history and literature. I have a wide breadth of knowledge in these topics. If you know what the great courses are, I go through 2 or 3 of those a week because I'm always listening to audio lectures or audio books, and the great courses are just the ones I like the best. And the great courses are like lectures about you. Their lecture series usually anywhere from 4 to 48 hours, and they run the gamut as far as topics. It, I believe they call them survey courses, but I don't really know what that means because I dropped out of school after middle school, so I don't really know what that means. But they call them survey courses quite often, and it covers everything. But they go really in depth about a lot of topics that otherwise it's difficult to find information about, especially in audio format. Like there's audiobooks and stuff, but I have a thing where I see everything backwards. It's not dyslexia. It's like I see a reverse image of the world as to everyone else. So like I'm literally looking at a different image than everyone else is. And I also feel like that kind of speaks as to my perspective because I'm just looking at a different image than everyone else. Because the advice I hear people give, and this is a lot of my point in doing things, is the advice I hear people give is outright dangerous to deadly. Like I have managed to surmise a lot of the successful people are from two parent homes where they were like supportive and stuff or supported. And like granted the people don't feel like that and everyone has their struggles and stuff like that, and I don't want to take away from them. But the advice I hear people give, like if I had followed what they say when I was like a teenager or in my early 20s, it would have got me killed. Like they are so disconnected from the reality I live in. And even now, as a fucking grown man, they are completely disconnected from it. And it really shocks me that everyone assumes the world, like people live like they do. And you're aware that some people don't. It's just you assume the vast majority of people live like you unless you're constantly confronted with the reality that you aren't like everyone else. So I the way they say to go about things and like getting a task even done, it's clear to me they don't come from like deeply dysfunctional environments, and their families aren't dysfunctional, and there's not a lot of drug addiction and violence that surrounds them, and like fear isn't an omnipresent thing, and they don't have to weigh scenarios like what happens if I don't fight this guy, what are people gonna say and think, and will it make me look too weak and now other people are gonna stop fucking with me too. Like they don't have to think about stuff like that, and so it just doesn't show up on their radar, so they're like you just got to do it, and it's like, dude, like we're from two different worlds. uh just being able to get to a task, you've actually surmounted so many obstacles that it's fucking shocking. Like it's just being able to do something on its own. You've clearly overcome. The odds were against you from the beginning. I could say that. So I always try and make stuff for the people that are going to be more like me. And I've always tried to connect with people on topics that speak to me: pain, suffering, loss, vulnerability, weakness, the things that have, in my opinion, largely controlled my life. Because I will use the example. This one time, this kid was explaining something to me he saw me do like 5 years or 6 years before. And he was telling me how cool I looked. Because I was like, there was a relatively tough and dangerous guy. And I was antagonizing this dude to kill me in front of a bunch of people. But like, he thought I was doing it because like I was tough and didn't give a fuck. I was like, I made that choice because I had been trying to kill myself for months at that point, and I couldn't get up the nerve to do it. And I had like set dates and planned, and I couldn't fucking do it. And so I'm sitting there this one night, and I'm fucking doing dope and drinking, and this dude's got his gun out, and he's talking about how he's gonna kill anybody. And so I'm like, this is a sign. Like I know this guy's dangerous. Like this is a sign. I do me. And so the kid, though, I mean, he wasn't a kid, he was the same age I was, but he saw this, and what he saw was me being tough. And I was explaining to him, like, the reason I did that wasn't like some tough guy, like, I have ego and I'm gonna prove this guy's a bitch and stuff. I wanted him to do it. Like, there was no, like, tough in it. It was an act of utter desperation. But that is always disconnected from what people see, and especially with crime, what people see. And this is why I try to avoid talking about crime, because people that are powerless feel like power. Crime is like a form of power. You're taking, you're just forcing yourself through a situation. And to people that are powerless, that looks cool. But crime and stuff like that is always born out of desperation. It's always born out of deep hopelessness. And occasionally you'll have someone that does successful at it, or rappers that are successful with it. But it's always born out of the most low down and tragic of circumstances. It's never a good thing. It's always terrible. It's always ugly, but that's not what people see. People just see you exerting power, and they want that power because they feel powerless. So like crime is a very complicated topic, especially like personal crime, like and stuff like that. Like I'm very sketchy about talking about it, and I also think like the stuff people consume, it matters a lot. So I try not to focus on that kind of stuff too much, because I feel it's always going to, people are always going to take the wrong message away. Everybody saw Menace to Society. No one remembers what the words at the end of the movie are. They remember O-Dog, because O-Dog's fucking cool, because O-Dog's hot as fuck. But I guarantee you, if O-Dog was a real person, his life would be very fucking tragic and depressing to actually learn about. That is the way with these things. It always goes that way. So I try to stay away from that kind of stuff. But there will be some, in the historical stuff, certainly this will show up, because history is just rife with slaughter. And there's some of the time I just can't even take it. I can't listen to lectures on history because it's just too fucking depressing, because it's just one massacre after the next. And like in wars, there's so many battles and so many people getting just massacred, and I have to think about it, like these were all humans with lives and families, and people cared for them and stuff, and like just tragic stuff. But most people don't think about that. They don't, especially in the US. This is usually why I hang out with people who aren't from the US, because we tend to connect better. We tend to speak more the same language. Not really, because they usually speak Spanish, but like we understand each other. We understand like the world the same way. And I'm getting lost here. I'm getting lost. So I'm going to start trying to do videos with a historical nature or about literature, and they will still be meaningful in their contribution. They will still stay in the same vein of the things I talk about and the way I talk about things. And hopefully there's something beneficial. you know Hopefully I appreciate anyone that watches, and hopefully it is somewhat beneficial or meaningful in some kind of way, or at least funny. I try to at least be funny. I don't know if I am, but I try. So the stuff I hear people say, the advice I hear people give, it's so awful and so terrible, and so I want to make stuff that is better than that, and hopefully can connect with people that are from deeply dysfunctional lives and fucked up worlds and fucked up homes, because I know where I'm from. Anytime people see you trying to do something to better yourself or do anything, they're gonna fucking ruthlessly cut you down, unless they're terrified of you. But most of the time, like with family and stuff, they're just gonna be cruel and fucking vicious and be mean and tear down anything you do to try and better yourself, and make you feel like shit for trying to do anything to better yourself. Because if you're doing something, it reminds them that they're not. So friends and family are just gonna fucking cut you down for trying to better yourself in any way. And it's difficult because like the people you want to care about you are constantly attacking you, and you don't want them to dislike you. There's it really doesn't matter what age you get to, you still want that affirmation of a family. And it's difficult to accept. I won't have that. It's not in the cards in this life. Whatever it's gonna be, it's not in the cards here. So I want to do things with all that kind of stuff in mind, like I already have been trying to. But even remembering to keep my eyes open and looking at the camera is difficult for me, as I'm sure people notice. But that's the direction I'm trying to take things. So in the next week, I'm going to try and put together this video. I'm not going to say what it is because there's not many videos on these topics, and as far as I know, there's none on all the topics I want to do. So uh, don't give up stuff. You never know who's listening because they're probably more competent than I am, and they might steal the idea, do something more effective than I can do with it. And if you don't stake your claim first, I can't prove they stole it from me. So, you know. But next week, hopefully, maybe sooner if it's easier than I suspect, but nothing ever is. It always takes more time than I think it will. But we'll see what happens, and hopefully it all works out and things continue. And like I said, I appreciate anyone that watches this nonsense, and I hope it is helpful in some way because I'm up here making a fucking fool out of myself for you. So you better appreciate it. No, but I am making a fucking fool out of myself, and I am doing it for some kind of social good of others and to be funny. But, those are my two goals. To help people that are from fucked up environments like I am, because I've already lived through a lot of these things. And so hopefully I can offer some kind of insight into these circumstances where someone won't have to ruin their life in the same ways that I have. And it can save someone some fucking pain and trauma, you know? And maybe it's funny. I try. For what it's worth.